Live from the internet, it's the people not allowed on the show we're talking about. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 people banned from Saturday Night Live.
We got a great show for you tonight, because I'm here.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're going over the performers and hosts who were so controversial, unpredictable, or hard to work with that they were never invited back onto the show. To be clear, they don't have to have been officially banned in any public way, just obviously made unwelcome. Temporary bans that have since been lifted will also be considered.
You are the lamest host we've ever had.
Number 10. Rage Against the Machine.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rage Against the Machine.
Considering their revolutionary political and anti-capitalist views, it would have been more surprising had Rage not made a statement during this public performance. Before performing their song Bulls on Parade on SNL in 1996, the group reportedly hung upside-down American flags on their amps, which is widely considered a sign of distress. The act was a protest against billionaire Republican presidential candidate Steve Forbes, who was the host that night. Talk about a mismatched pair.
How much money do you have?
Well, you know, if I had a nickel for every time somebody asked me that, I would be, well, whatever.
Though the production crew removed the cymbals before the band performed, Rage was escorted out of the building after their first song.
I'd like to thank Rage Against the Machine, the cast, the writers, the crew, Lorne Michaels.
Number 9. Charles Grodin.
Just help them through. We can. Hi, Chuck.
Hi, Glinda. Hi, Blungy.
Charles Grodin is an American actor and comedian, known for such movies as Catch-22, The Incredible Shrinking Woman, and Beethoven. He's also known for his appearances on The Tonight Show and The Late Show. In 1977, he was invited to host Saturday Night Live. However, he allegedly missed rehearsals and was generally ill-prepared for his role.
I wish I'd had more time during the week to rehearse and really work on the skits with all the gang here, but how can you come to New York and not see at least a couple of Broadway shows?
He also stepped over people's lines and made the show difficult, as he reportedly forgot the show was live. It might not seem like much to many people, but it was enough to get him banned from the iconic comedy show.
Chuck, have you worked on your monologue?
Monologue?
Number 8. Fear. Infamous American punk band Fear was invited to play SNL for the 1981 Halloween episode. John Belushi allegedly got them the gig, as he was a fan of the band. They played their usual assortment of offensive material and shouted obscenities at the crowd and listeners, which is all in a day's work for Fear.
Let's go!
The performance got so out of hand that they started what some called a small riot. Needless to say, the set was cut short, and the broadcast went to commercial. Some may have thought that was too bad, as they had just started playing Let's Have a War. Number 7. Elvis Costello.
Once again, here's Elvis Costello.
English singer-songwriter Elvis Costello was invited to perform his song Less Than Zero on SNL in 1977. A few seconds into the song, however, he stopped his band and told the audience,
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there's no reason to do this song here.
He and his band then immediately started playing Radio Radio, a song he had been explicitly told not to play. Add to that the fact that Lorne Michaels is famous for really disliking unrehearsed sets, and the resulting ban was a foregone conclusion. Thankfully, it was eventually lifted, and Costello was invited back in 1989, going so far as to parody the incident in 1999.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but there's just really no reason to do this song here tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4!
Number 6. Adrien Brody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
This American actor, best known for his role in The Pianist, was invited to host SNL in 2003. The musical guests that night were artists Sean Paul and Wayne Wonder. In an unscripted move, Brody decided to come out on stage to introduce Sean Paul
Jamaica,
while wearing a dreadlock wig and spouting Jamaican stereotypes. Remember when we said Lorne Michaels doesn't like things to be unscripted? Well, he really didn't like this. Adrien Brody was banned from the show and has not returned since. Adding insult to injury, he was even parodied nearly a decade later on the show. Number 5. Frank Zappa.
Thank you, and remember I'm reading this off these cards underneath this camera here.
Frank Zappa was a legendary eccentric musician whose work spanned many genres, from rock to orchestral to jazz. In 1978, he was asked to both perform on and host the sketch comedy show. Unfortunately, however, he and the crew got off to a rough start due to his strict anti-drug position.
You don't do drugs. Hey, man, that's funny, man. Frank Zappa don't do drugs.
Things only got worse when the episode actually filmed, with Zappa making it rather clear to the audience that he wasn't invested in the show. He actually drew the crowd's attention to the fact that he was reading from cue cards and allegedly, quote, mugged to the cameras.
You could probably tap a whole new segment of today's youth market.
Number 4. Martin Lawrence.
Man, oh man, look at all these white people.
Known for his award-winning hit show Martin Lawrence was invited to host SNL in February 1994. During his opening monologue, he went on to discuss women's hygiene and genitalia in explicit and frank detail. Needless to say, this was not appreciated.
Some of you are not washing your ass properly. Okay, don't get me wrong. Not all, some of you.
The edited version of the episode now simply shows a blank screen, with words giving viewers the gist of what Lawrence said. It also states that many SNL employees nearly lost their jobs because of it.
Because I'm getting with some of the ladies smelling odors going, wait a minute. Girl, smell this. This you. Smell yourself, girl.
Perhaps contributing to his ban, Lawrence also allegedly improvised some dialogue in one of the sketches. And we know how Lorne loves that.
You know what, man? If you don't shut your ass up, I'm telling you, man, shut up!
Number 3. Steven Seagal.
There's a lot more to Steven Seagal than the martial arts.
Regarded by many of the cast and crew as the worst host in Saturday Night Live history, Seagal hosted the show in 1991. The actor and martial artist is best known for his roles in action films like Under Siege. On SNL, however, he was apparently notoriously difficult to work with, and his sketch ideas did not sit well with the rest of the cast and crew. Seagal reportedly even refused to leave his room because he found it insulting that, as part of the dialogue in one sketch, 2 characters suggested they could beat him up.
That's very good. I'm very impressed, Mr. Seagal. Maybe we misjudged you. Yeah, maybe you're not a girly man after all, Mr. Seagal. Yeah.
Number 2. Andy Kaufman.
Right now, I would like to do some imitations for you.
Often cited as one of the greatest comedians ever, Andy Kaufman made a career out of antagonizing and trolling people. He was truly ahead of his time. From his Mighty Mouse skit to wrestling women, people were never quite sure what to make of him. Was it real, or was it all just an act? In 1983, then executive producer of SNL, Dick Ebersol, asked the audience to vote on whether to keep Andy on the show or dump him. The audience voted him off, and sure enough, he was never brought back.
Thank you for all the support you've given me through these years, and I wish you all to be well. Thank you.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Oh, it's a long, long while from May to December, but the days grow short when you reach September.
Just think, here I am doing a show at NBC for only one night. It's like being part of NBC's new fall schedule.
New York City, they said I couldn't light my joint, you know what I'm saying? But we ain't going out like that. We say...
Number 1. Sinead O'Connor.
Until the philosophy which holds one race superior.
This Irish singer and songwriter was invited to perform on the show in 1992. In what was perhaps the most notorious live television incident up until the 2004 Super Bowl wardrobe malfunction, Sinéad O'Connor presented a picture of the Pope after her rendition of Bob Marley's War, and then proceeded to rip it to pieces.
Fight the real enemy.
It was an act meant to draw attention to the cover-up of child abuse in the Catholic Church. It didn't go over well with audiences across the country, however. And though producer Lorne Michaels later expressed admiration for O'Connor and her actions, at the time, the show did everything possible to distance themselves from her statement.
It wasn't that people agreed or disagreed with her politics. It was just, it seemed so incredibly inappropriate.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.